In 2008, a cursed image appeared on 4chan, a pale face with a carved smile and eyes that never blinked. It was called Jeff the Killer. And for millions of people, it was the first time the internet made them genuinely afraid to turn off their light. But today, the same image became a meme. Go to sleep is the punchline and is sent to someone who refuses to rest, stays up late gaming, scrolling, or just arguing online. It's exaggerated, edgy, and intentionally overdramatic. But in today's modern slang, it's called go touch some grass, bro. The early 2010s were a wild time for internet horror. Creepypastas were pretty much everywhere, and some of them were genuinely brilliant. Others were questionable at best. But now, with over a decade of distance, we can finally answer the question: which of this actually hold up? Welcome to Midnight Channel, ladies and gents. Today, I'll be ranking every iconic creepypasta by how scary they really are. Let's get into it. Alright, so here's a quick explanation on how I'd rate the stories. First, the concept. Is the core idea actually frightening, or is it just trying way too hard to be edgy? Second, execution. How well is it written? Does it build atmosphere and tension, or does it just throw gore at you and hope you're scared? Third, lasting impact. The best horror usually stays in your head. If you forget about it 5 minutes after reading, then it's most likely a failure. Fourth, the aging test. If you went back and read this today, not as a traumatized 12-year-old, but as an adult, would it still work, or would you just laugh it off? With all that in mind, here's how each story stacks up in my personal tier list. Welcome to D tier, or what I'd like to call the cringe zone. These are creepypastas that are either so poorly written, super edgy, or just unintentionally hilarious that they've become impossible to take seriously. Sonic.exe. This story is about a guy who receives a mysterious CD labeled Sonic.exe from a friend. The game lets you play as Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, only to watch each of them hunted down and killed by a demonic Sonic. In the end, Sonic breaks the fourth wall, revealing its wearer alive and targeting the player. To simply put, Sonic starts murdering people. That's it. That's the whole story. The problem, aside from everything, is that it reads like someone discovered the word hyper-realistic and decided to use it multiple times. The image showed a hyper-realistic of Sonic, and when I say hyper-realistic, I mean he looked so real. His eyes are wide and black and once again crying blood, which also, by the way, in case you forget, looks hyper-realistic. Never forget about that. Also, it's Sonic, blue cartoon hedgehog. There's only so much you can do to make that terrifying, and Sonic.exe is not it. Eyeless Jack. Eyeless Jack is another edgelord special. A guy in a blue mask with no eyes breaks into your house and steals your kidneys while you sleep. Okay, sure, I admit that it's a terrifying concept, but the execution? He has no eyes but can somehow see perfectly. Cool, but how? And the answer is, he just can. And the story itself? Half the creep factor comes from vague description and he's in your room, he's gone nonsense. There's no tension, no real build-up, just a faceless guy who steals kidneys because apparently that's scary enough. Honestly, the mask, the hoodie, the black goo, none of it has any rules. You could replace him with literally anything and the story would be the same. I could say that Ghostface came in your room and steals your organ and it would make more sense. It's like someone thought, let's make a horror character, but skip all the work that makes horror actually scary. Squidward Suicide. Squidward Suicide is basically the granddaddy of the lost episode genre. If you've read at least one lost episode creepypasta story, you've pretty much read them all. Everything was normal until someone's eye became hyper-realistic. Yeah, there it is again, hyper-realistic. After that, it's mostly scary images, people crying, and gore elements. There's no build-up, no tension, no real story, just cheap shock value. These tales rely entirely on nostalgia and recycled tropes, which are distorted eyes, glitchy effects, black and white static. Every story follows the exact same formula: shock images strung together with minimal effort. Personally, for me, it's not scary, it's just boring. C tier is for creepypastas that had a massive cultural impact but don't actually hold up when you revisit them. This is the I remember being terrified, but now it's mostly cringe tier. Jeff the Killer. This image is iconic. That pale, stretched face with the carved smile probably gave you nightmares in 2010. But the story, oh man, the story is rough. Jeff is a teenager who gets bullied, survives getting set on fire somehow, and decides the logical next step is to carve a smile into his face with a knife, burn off his eyelids, and become a serial killer. And his catchphrase is, "Go to sleep," which he apparently whispers before stabbing people. Here's my question. How is he whispering with a smile carved into his face? Wouldn't air just leak out? Has anyone thought about the logistics here? The writing is pure 2000s edgelord energy. What's wrong, mommy? Aren't I beautiful? It's unintentionally hilarious. The image saves it from D tier, but only barely. Smile Dog. Smile Dog had one job: be a scary picture. And to its credit, the image is a husky with a human-like smile, which is deeply unsettling. But the story around it: a woman sees the picture, goes insane, and now she's trying to spread it to other people so it'll leave her alone. That's it. That's the whole premise. And it's told through an incredibly boring interview format that drains any tension the concept might have had. It's ranked C tier instead of D tier because the picture itself is genuinely creepy and leaves an impression, even if the narrative is lazy. It's kind of like Jeff the Killer. The concept is terrifying, but the story is mostly a vehicle for one standout image or idea. The lore is minimal, the pacing is flat, and all the scare comes from the husky's grin, not from any real storytelling. Siren Head. Siren Head is here, and while the design is genuinely cool, there's no actual story. It's just a 40-foot tall monster with sirens for a head, making strange noises like emergency sirens, old radio broadcasts, or the sounds of someone screaming for help. It's a great concept, but Trevor Henderson, the creator, never wrote a full narrative for it. A visual alone doesn't really make a creepypasta, at least that's how I see it. The Backrooms. This one hurts because the original post was perfect. If you're not careful and you clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms. One image, one caption, endless yellow hallways stretching forever. It was simple, unexplained, and absolutely terrifying if you think about it. But then the internet got its hands on it and ruined it. Now there are 9,000 levels of the backrooms, each with detailed wikis about entities, survival strategies, and lore. It went from eerie minimalism to an SCP knockoff, and it lost all its impact in the process. The original concept, A tier. What it became, C tier. B tier is for creepypastas that are legitimately well done, but either have flaws or have been watered down by overexposure. These are good, solid, even, just not quite great. Slender Man. The most influential creepypasta ever created, but unfortunately I'm putting him in B tier. Slender Man, created by Eric Knudsen in 2009, changed internet horror forever. The Photoshop images, marble hornets, the ARG elements, it was revolutionary. People genuinely thought Slender Man was a real urban legend. That's how effective it was. But here's the problem. Slender Man has been done to death. We've had games, a terrible movie, thousands of derivative stories, and even a real-life tragedy. At this point, seeing Slender Man is less, "Oh god, what is that?" and more of a, "Oh, it's that guy again." The original posts are still good. The tall faceless figure in the background of old photographs, that works. But you can't separate Slender Man from everything that came after. That baggage drags it down. Still, respect where it's due, B tier for being the blueprint. Band Drowned. The Majora's Mask haunted cartridge story, genuinely ambitious for its time. The use of video evidence, the ARG elements, the slow reveal that the game itself was haunted, it all worked really well in 2010. The problem is that it drags. The ARG stuff becomes convoluted, and if you're not a Zelda fan, half the reference don't land. It's like watching someone explain an inside joke for 20 minutes. You appreciate the effort, but you're kind of checked out. Still, the core concept, a drowned kid haunting a video game, is pretty good. And you shouldn't have done that line is genuinely creepy. Candle Cove. One of the smartest creepypastas ever written at the time and nearly reached A tier. The story is told entirely through forum posts where people reminisce about a creepy children's show from the 1970s called Candle Cove. They recall the puppets, the pirate characters, and the infamous Skin Taker episode. And then at the very end, someone's mom reveals that whenever the kids were watching Candle Cove, the TV was just showing static. The kids were staring at a blank screen. It's brilliant, subtle, atmospheric, and deeply unsettling. The reason it's not higher is because it relies entirely on that twist. Once you know the ending, the reread value drops, but it's still excellent. No End House. A haunted house attraction where each room shows you something more personal and horrifying than the last. The final room forces you to confront your deepest fears, and the implication is that people who enter never truly leave. It's well written and creepy, but it's not original. The haunted house that messes with your mind concept has been done 100 times. No End House does it well, but it doesn't bring anything new. A tier is reserved for creepypastas that genuinely work. This well-written creative stories gave you the creeps then and still haunts you now, proving they have serious staying power. The Rake. The Rake is a masterclass in simplicity. Pale, humanoid creature with hollow eyes and long limbs that crawls into people's bedroom at night. Sometimes it just watches, sometimes it whispers, sometimes it attacks. While both share that bedroom stalker DNA, the Rake easily outranks Eyeless Jack because it isn't just a story. It's a believable urban legend built through a chilling, multi-generation trail of found documents that feels far more immersive than Jack's predictable home invasion trope. The story is told through journal entries, police reports, and eyewitness accounts that took decades. No origin story, no explanation. Just the implication that this thing has been out there for a very long time, and it's probably coming for you next. The descriptions are vivid without being overwrought. Its eyes were black and sunken, it moved like a spider. You can picture it and think, wow, that's a huge f*** of nopes. The Rake is easily A tier because it nails every aspect. Strong concept, great execution, high rereadability, and it still works. The Russian Sleep Experiment. And the story follows Soviet scientists who test an experimental sleep-inhibiting gas on 5 prisoners. After 15 days without sleep, the subjects lose their sanity, begin mutilating themselves, and eventually beg not to be released from the chamber. When the gas is finally turned off, they became really violent and declare, "We are the madness that lurks within you all." Now, scientifically, it's total nonsense, but as a nightmare, it's perfect. It leans into that primal fear that sleep is the only thing keeping us from snapping. And once that seal is broken, you get guys literally dissembling themselves just to keep their eyes open. It's gross, it's over the top, and it's absolutely A-tier horror for me. 1999, Calden Local 21. Calden Local 21 is about a mysterious public access TV channel that aired disturbing children's shows in the late 90s. Programs like Booby, a literal hand moving around an empty room, and Mr. Bear Seller, a man in a bear costume leading kids into the woods. What makes it scary is how grounded it feels. The narrator tracks down the studio, finds police reports, and uncovers evidence of child abduction. It's told like a true crime investigation, which makes it feel plausible. The slow escalation from weird TV channel to active predator ring is perfectly paced. By the end, you're not sure if it's fiction or if this actually happened. Anansi's Goatman. This story is super underrated. Started as a 4chan green text, but is absolute top tier horror. To put it briefly, a group of cousins and friends are staying at a remote trailer deep in the Alabama woods. There's no cell service, the trees are dense, and a metallic scent of copper and ozone hangs in the air. At first, it starts with small things like a strange chattering sound echoing from the tree line. Then comes the moment that defines the mimic genre. The narrator is grilling hot dogs for the group, and knowing there are exactly 12 people, he prepares 12 servings. But after handing them out, they are gone instantly, and a 13th hand is still reaching out for more. He counts the group again, 13. The story taps into skinwalker and Wendigo mythology without being heavy-handed, making the paranoia palpable. The thing is a mimic. It has the right face and the correct clothes, but it hasn't figured out how to act human yet. It's simply glitching in the darkness. In the climax, the group locks themselves in the trailer only to hear their friend Tanner screaming outside to be let in. In any other situation, you'd open that door in a heartbeat, but the real Tanner is already inside, clutching a shotgun and crying. The creature isn't just a monster, it's a predator that uses the voice of your loved ones as a bait. They eventually escape at dawn, but as the copper smell fills the car, they're too terrified to count the passengers again. I mean, come on, that's pretty creepy and scary. Anansi's Goatman for me is an easy A tier. Reserve for perfection. These aren't just stories, these are experiences that give me the creeps for days. And only 2 entries make this cut. Tad the Caver. Released in 2001, long before Creepypasta was even a word, this story was presented as a genuine caving journal on an old Angel Fire site, complete with grainy photos and hand-drawn diagrams. It follows Tad and his friend B, who discover a tiny hole in the wall passage in a local cave and spend weeks painstakingly digging it open. What makes this S-tier horror is its slow, methodical pacing and raw, claustrophobic terror. As they progress, the cave itself seems to resist their intrusion. Strange symbols appear on the walls and a blasphemous scream echoes from a darkness they cannot see. The tension builds to a breaking point. The ending is a masterclass in restraint. It explains nothing. Ted's final post, dated May 19, 2001, states he's going back one last time to find answers. The site hasn't been updated since. With no monster reveal and no cheesy jump scares, it remains a work of S-tier perfection. Panpal. Started on Reddit's r/nosleep in 2011 and eventually adapted into a full-length novel. Panpal is a masterpiece of psychological trauma. The story follows a man piecing together the fragmented, terrifying memories of his youth. A kindergarten Panpal project, letters tied to balloons, blurry Polaroid photos, and his best friend, Josh, who vanished without a trace. Slowly, he realizes he was being hunted, not by a ghost or a monster, but by a very real, terrifyingly patient human predator. It's the kind of realization that makes you look at your own home differently. The narrator spent his childhood hearing noises under the house, dismissing them as stray animals. In reality, a man was nested in the dark crawl space beneath his bedroom floor. Every night while the narrator slept, the man emerged to take Polaroid photos, capturing the innocence of a child who had no idea he was sharing his home with a ghost in the flesh. The ending is devastating. Years later, his father digs in the backyard and discovers the remains of Josh, wearing the narrator's old clothes. The stalker had kidnapped the wrong boy. Even worse, he had rigged a breeding tube and lived underground with the child while the family lived their lives just feet above them. He eventually died there, undiscovered. Panpal is easily S tier because it weaponized nostalgia against you. In a world where we think everything is recorded, it forces you to look into the dead zones of your own childhood. It makes you wonder if those weird noises or missing toys were just glitches in your memory, or if you're being watched by something the cameras missed. So there you have it, my personal definitive creepypasta tier list. Look, I know some of you are probably losing it seeing Jeff the Killer in C tier. I know the Slenderman fans are upset, but nostalgia is a powerful thing. Just because something scared you at 10 doesn't mean it's objectively good horror. If you think I'm completely wrong, drop your own tier list in the comments. I'm curious to see how your rankings compare. And if there's a creepypasta I missed that deserves S tier, let me know. Maybe I'll do a part 2. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content. And yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned to the Midnight Channel.